Hi everyone. I'm just here to put something into perspective, which may seem obvious for a lot of people and wasn't like super obvious to me for a really long time. And what that is that even though one of the big gifts of life is to be able to transform, is to be able to have transformations, to go from X situation to X result, or I just said X and X, X and Y, whatever. To go from if you want to be a better singer, to go from having a weak voice that cracks easily and strains to get to the high note, to having a strong, smooth, powerful, flexible voice. That could be a transformation, going from always struggling with money and pinching pennies and being broke and having to kind of not buy yourself a lot of things that you want or be in the situation that you want, to being in the situation that you want and surrounded and just having a financial freedom where you can buy yourself whatever you want and you don't feel disempowered around money anymore, and you bring it in pretty empoweredly and effortlessly. There's all sorts of transformations. But I just want to remind you that just because something is transforming doesn't mean that we are throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Just because we're transmuting what isn't serving us and we're fixing, in a way, we're releasing things we don't want, we're getting rid of what we don't want to get what we want. Just because we're doing that doesn't mean that we are rejecting ourselves. And in fact, when we stay in that attitude of this unconscious attitude of rejection, where the assumption is sort of one day I'll just be a brand new person that has nothing to do with who I am right now. I'll just be a completely different situation. What sometimes we're forgetting, if we are in fact in the attitude of self-rejection, that might not be everyone. If we are in that attitude of self-rejection, what that looks like is we're not realizing that the person that we want to be is growing from and stemming from the person that we already are. And if you think of a seed or a sapling, or especially a seed is the prime example, because that's really where it all starts for a seed, chicken or the egg. You can argue that the seed comes from somewhere else, but let's just start at the seed. Okay. The seed can grow into famously a large oak tree, but the seed isn't going to do that by rejecting itself as a seed. It's going to do that by being nurtured as seed, whether that is soil, water, darkness, all that stuff. And then once a sapling is nurtured through photosynthesis, using sunlight, still with water, and all the rest of it. So basically what I'm saying is that the new self emerges from the old self. Even in the analogy of the phoenix, emerges from the ashes of the old self, but it's still emerging from the ashes of the old. Notice we didn't say we trashed the ashes and poof, appeared a new phoenix out of nowhere, out of thin air, just plucked it from the ether, plucked it from the quantum field. No, it's a transformation, it's a transmutation, which implies that the version of you that you are right now is required. It is a necessity. It is an essential part of this process. It is not damaged goods to discard. It is not something that you can just kill off and set aside and just sometimes I think that I have mistakenly thought that the less of myself I am, the more the more I can just like, you know, sort of like kill all these parts of myself off and like repress them and just like not be me, then I'll magically and automatically be a better me one day. And that's not how it works. How it really works is the raw material is you. You are still a raw material. If it's your voice, then you're unless you get some crazy surgery which replaces multiple different aspects of your body, and even then, like, honestly, your singing instrument is your entire body. It's not any one single isolated part of your body. So that would be kind of impossible to do without killing you entirely. But if you even if you say you got some crazy surgery to get yourself new vocal cords or a new diaphragm or like whatever, right? New rib cage, like whatever, like new facial cavity, like who knows? Anyway, even if that were possible, no, backtrack. That's not what you're doing. What you're doing is you're keeping all those same body parts. So your bigger voice is going to emerge out of your smaller voice, out of the raw materials you already have, using the muscles you already have. And just to take one simple example, like, you know, there's like just like a lot of musculature involved in singing, and I'm not an expert, okay? There's a lot of musculature involved in singing. You're not getting rid of your old, weak muscles. No, they're the same ones. They just get to be stronger. So they need to be practiced with, you know, they need support, they need energy, they need food, they need consistency, yada, 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 yada. In some cases, they also need shielding from excessive mucus or yada, 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 yada. So they need protection and nurturing and consistency and energy. And then and I should say, the big thing that's missing from that equation is spirit. They need spirit. Nothing happens without you actually, truly and deeply wanting it to happen, having a deep inspiration in your soul for it to happen. I mean, sure, there's lots of things that you can get away with doing without being deeply inspired to do them, but you wouldn't be doing them if you didn't think that you'd be benefiting in some fashion. So you have to be driven by some outcome on some level. So that's where the spirit part comes in. But spirit aside, your raw materials get to be nurtured, and then you create a big voice, stronger musculature out of the musculature you already had. And your big voice, it may sound very much like a very new or entirely different voice, but guess what? It was your voice all along. It's the same voice as the small voice. It's just more of the small voice's potential was revealed as alterations were made to the musculature that was supporting it before. So the new voice was always a possibility. It was always there. It was always a part of the old voice. Right? So in that example, okay. And then, I don't know how I'm going to pull this example off, but like, say like with the self-concept around money, you probably are going to have to release a lot of limiting beliefs. But what you're not doing is you're not just prohibiting yourself from thinking altogether. So when a thought comes up, you're not just scolding yourself from thinking it and repressing all your thoughts. You actually have to transmute them and then replace them. So you're not doing away with your thinking brain. You're not killing off your old personality. You're just allowing it to change into something more supportive. So in that example, I didn't want to get too graphic and talk about like doing away with your brain or anything like that. But, and your nervous system. Oh, okay. This is a good example. So like, right, let's say that your past trauma has a lot to do with how your current neurons are wired and how your nervous system reacts to stimuli based on triggers and all of that kind of stuff. So the goal is not to not have a nervous system anymore, no longer be a sentient being. You wouldn't be alive if you didn't have your nervous system. The goal is not to not have neurons anymore. It's just to reconnect them differently. And you want to nurture and heal your nervous system into a state of calm and ease and receptivity and being dialed in and connection. So again, you're not getting rid of yourself per se. You are still the raw material. Who you are and your, God-given body, whether you're religious or not. I'm not trying to be religious about it. Just, the temple you came in and your energy and who you are is still the raw material, no matter what process you're going through, no matter what transformation you're going through. Whether you, even when you're shifting identities, don't ever forget that you're not throwing yourself out the door. You're just exploring what else you can be with things being nurtured and rearranged the way that you might want them to be. So remembering this, my suggestion or advice, I guess, if I were to give any advice, which you don't have to take if you don't want to, but it might be helpful, and again, I don't know, I'm just speculating, but it might be helpful to put less effort into the stopping of who you are, into the rejection of who you currently are. And mind you, even when I say that, I could be accidentally, not absent-mindedly, indirectly rejecting you without meaning to, because it's very possible that you were rejected in childhood, and so that's exactly why you subconsciously reject yourself. I know that's kind of how I feel about some things. And by me saying stop rejecting yourself, I could be rejecting you, rejecting yourself. Don't get me wrong. You were wired that way for a reason, but it's not serving you anymore, right? So both of those things can be true. We can have compassion and hold space and non-judgment and pressure-free zone, for the fact that we didn't realize that we were rejecting ourselves because that's what we were taught in childhood. And we can also realize, hey, maybe if I don't reject myself, my life will start to go better, because instead of rejecting the raw materials I'm working with, I'll actually just start working with them, right? And I'll actually just start nurturing them. And that's actually how I become new. That's actually how I get the new identity. That's actually how I get the new thing. Not by discarding them or myself. I'm not trying to not be my voice. I'm not trying to not be the person that I am. I'm just trying to embody that person even more. In fact, I would never have a better voice if I didn't lean into using the voice that I have now. And if I was so ashamed of it that I couldn't use it the way it was now, I would never get better. So the direction I need to be going in is actually going in the direction of embracing what I have going on for me right now even more. And instead of that, I think there's that'll also help with nurturing ourselves and energetic boundaries and balance, because I think that when we're so used to the mindset of we need to reject ourselves to be better, we don't invest in ourselves, even energetically, subconsciously, right? And so the idea is you're always grasping out there, going out there for approval, for goals, for energy, for anything. But when you start nurturing yourself again, when you realize you are the raw material, you are the diamond in the rough, I guess I don't know if I like that actually, but you are the thing that can be nurtured into exactly what you want. That's all you got. You is what you're working with. Sure, there's definitely all types of surgery out there and all types of tricks and things that we can do to alter parts of ourselves, but there's not a substitute for your soul unless, you unfortunately pass away. There's not a substitute for your soul in this body, in this incarnation right here, right now, regardless of what you believe. There's not a substitute for exactly who you are right now as a package, as a raw material for yourself to experience this life through and experience all you can be through. So don't reject it. Love the shit out of it and know that this is where you're starting from. And the more of an embrace toward it you can have, the more it'll grow into not even exactly what you want, honestly, more than you could have ever imagined is the truth. Because when we're in self-rejection, we're so far from being able to like realize or imagine how awesome we actually are and what our potential actually is. And that's normal. No one's supposed to be born with an exact map or like layout of everything they're going to accomplish and do and be and look like and have and sound like. That's part of the discovery and part of the journey, is that those things are going to surprise you. Layers are going to peel back one by one, and you're going to be revealed to yourself, and that's part of it. So you can't possibly actually know. You might have a picture in your head of what you want to be, and a lot of that picture could be accurate for you, but like a lot of who you are might just be revealed to you naturally. And if you're the type of person who is in so much self-love that you already know exactly what your higher self embodied looks like, then good for you. But yeah, a lot of us are just on that journey of embodying our higher selves better. And it's not really our job to really know exactly what that looks like, but we definitely need glimpses, because we need that spirit and that motivation to keep going. And so our glimpses are they're like the lighthouses, right? They're like North Star kind of, embedded in our souls. We do know what we want on some level. And the more that's revealed to us, the more of a North Star we are sort of following. But at the same time, like, maybe it's okay if it's revealed piece by piece and we don't have to get it all at once. So anyway, just maybe part of the fun is that aspects of you are going to be a surprise. So maybe just break out of the childhood conditioning to perfectly fit a specific mold, and just realize that you're wild and awesome and free and amazing and undiscovered. And on some levels, other levels you might already know about yourself, all are perfectly fine. And let yourself become revealed to yourself. And no, there's never a point at which you're going to be done. You might as well accept yourself right now. You might as well feel like you're enough right now. Peace out.